Section 9 is up next, where we will be stitching a very popular texture called the Suzette stitch. Now we will crochet a stitch that has been one of my favorites. The Suzette stitch makes a double-sided texture that's perfect for scarves and other projects that shows off both sides. And it's a perfect addition to this afghan. We are already comfortable working single and double crochet stitches. So now we will work them just a little bit differently, though they will still be single and double crochet stitches. So for section 9 with the Suzette stitch, we are going to work here along the side edge of our cable. We will be working with color C, and we'll start here at the beginning of this row that started with 2 chain stitches, and we'll join here in top of them. So go into the second chain, leave a tail, and then yarn around your hook and bring the working yarn through the stitch. Then we will chain 1 to secure, and then we'll work a single crochet in the same stitch. So just go into that same stitch, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through both 2 loops on your hook. From here on, we're going to work single crochet stitches, but we are going to work into the back bar of these half double crochet stitches. So you have the 2 loops at the top of each stitch, but if you flip everything a little bit towards you, you can see how each of these stitches has a horizontal bar here in the back. And that's where we want to work our single crochet stitches into. So for the first one, we are going to go into the back bar of this first stitch. So bring up a loop and yarn over and go through both loops on your hook. Then go into the next one here in the back, bring up a loop, yarn over, and bring through both loops on your hook. So this is how you're going to work your way across here for a total of 29 single crochet stitches. 27 and 28. So with the first stitch included, we now have a total of 29 stitches here for our first row. We will turn so that we are on the wrong side, and we will work our row number 2. And we will start with a chain 1. Then we will work a single crochet and a double crochet in the same stitch as this first chain 1. So go into the stitch, work a single crochet, and then yarn over and go into the same stitch to work a double crochet. So you're bringing up a loop and then yarn over and go through the first 2, and then yarn over and go through the second 2. Then we will skip this next single crochet stitch, and then we'll start a repetition. So that is to, into the next stitch, work a single crochet and a double crochet. So single, and then yarn over and into the same stitch, bringing up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, and then yarn over and go through the second 2, and then skip the next single. Single in the next, yarn over and working a double crochet in the same stitch, go through the first 2 and go through the second 2 and skip a stitch. So that's the repetition that you'll repeat all the way across to your last stitch, and I'll meet you there. I'm nearing the end of the row. I have 4 more stitches here. I'll be skipping 1 and then going into the next one and work a single, and then yarn over, going to the same stitch, yarn over and bring up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the last 2, then we'll skip the next one, and we will end the row with a single crochet stitch here in the last stitch. So this ends our second row, and we will now turn to the wrong side to work the third row. So for this third row, we will start with a chain 1. And then we'll be working here into the same stitch as we worked our chain. We'll work a single and a double crochet in the same stitch. So first the single, then yarn over, go into the same stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the second 2. Then we'll skip the next stitch, and then we have the repetition that says to work here. Now in the single crochet stitch, we'll work a single crochet and then a double. So yarn over, going to the same stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through the next 2. So then we will skip the next double crochet to end the repetition. So you'll see here how we have a single and have a double. So we will always skip that double and we start the next repetition in the single. So we'll go in there and work a single, work a double in the same stitch, and then skip the double. So that's the repetition you'll repeat all the way across, and I'll meet you again when we're nearing the end of the row. I'm skipping a double, and into the next single I'm working a single crochet and a double crochet. So go through 2 and go through 2. I'm skipping the next double, and into the last stitch I'm just working a single crochet stitch. So with that, I've finished my row number 3. And from here on, we'll just keep repeating this same row over and over again. And I'll work a couple of rows and then I'll see you again. Ending with a single crochet. And now I just want to show you, I've been working 5 rows total, and you can really start seeing the pretty texture. So let's continue. Single and a double in the same stitch, going through 2 and going through 2, and I'm skipping the next double, and I have one last stitch where I will just put a single. So at this point I'm on the wrong side, but I think I've reached the final measurement, so I'm going to turn over here to the right side. So I'm bringing in my tape measure, making sure it's measuring those 7 inches in height, and it does, and then it's supposed to measure 9 in width, and that's also correct on gauge. So with that, I can finish here. You can finish either on the right side or wrong side row, wherever you're at when you have reached that measurement, and you'll just cut the yarn, and you can bring the tail through that last loop and tighten to secure. And so with that, we have finished our section 9. We have one more texture to complete the first block, section 10, with its rich texture. We have 17 stitches left to work along the left side of our cable, and we will work the waffle texture to fill this last section. With the help of front post stitches, we'll be able to create this chunky, rich texture. Let me show you how it's done. So for our next section, number 10, with the waffle stitch, we are going to work along these last 17 stitches. But to get everything to line up correctly with the pattern, we're going to start working on the wrong side of our cable band. So we will be working into these stitches in the back bar. So you'll see these loops of the half double crochet stitches, and we will be working now here in these back bars. So we'll be working with this color B, and we will join out here now in the corner stitch. And for the corner, we'll just work through the whole stitch here. So leave yourself a bit of a tail and then pull the yarn through. Then we'll begin here with the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And now we will be working in these bars, like I said, and we will be working a repetition where we will be working an increase across. So it's to work a double crochet now in each of the next 2 to begin with. So we'll wrap the yarn around our hook, go into that bar, yarn over and bring up a loop, then yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. One more, double crochet into the next one, bring up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. So that was a double crochet in each of the next 2. Now we're going to work 2 double crochet in the next one. So that's an increase. We'll work 1 stitch here, 1 double crochet, and then going into the same stitch, we'll work another one. So that is our repetition. So we'll again work a double crochet in each of the next 2, 1, and 2, and then 2 in the next. So 1 and 2. So we're increasing stitches here now on this row because this waffle texture is a little bit tighter than just regular crochet stitches. So we need more stitches for things to just come out the right size. So continue doing your increases across, repeating your repetition, and then I'll meet you again towards the end of the row. I just made my last increase here, the end of the last repetition, and now I have 4 stitches left to work. So 4 more just double crochet stitches. So that's 1, and then 2, and I'm now nearing these last ones. So 3, and the last and 4th one is going to be worked into the stitch right before the next section. So that's going to end our row. And with all the increases that we made across here now, we have a total of 21 double crochet stitches, including these first chain stitches that we made at the beginning of the row. So with that, we'll turn around to the right side again, and we are ready to start working our row number 2. So for this row, we're going to start with the chain 2. Then we have a bracket that tells us the repetition, and we will be repeating this. We'll do a front post double crochet around the next double crochet. So yarn around your hook, then find your next double crochet, go around the post here in the front of the stitch, yarn over and bring up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and go through the second 2 loops. So there we have our first raised stitch. Then we'll work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So make sure you skip the stitch behind this last one we worked, and work into the top of the next 2 stitches. So that was 1 double crochet and then 1 double crochet. So that is our repetition. We will work a front post double crochet around the next double crochet stitch, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2, and then a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Double crochet in each of the next 2, 1 and 2. So that was my last repetition. I have 2 stitches here left on my row, so I'll work a front post double crochet around the next one. And then we're going to work a half double crochet in top of these beginning chain stitches. So just find the top one, yarn around your hook, go into the top one, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and bring that through all the 3 loops on your hook. So this finishes our row number 2, where we have these raised stitches now across with 2 double crochet stitches in between each. So with that, we can now turn our work to the wrong side, and we are ready to work our row number 3. So for this row, we are starting with the chain 2, and then we have the pattern repetition, which is to work a double crochet in the next stitch. So not in the first one, but here in the next stitch, a double, go through 2 and go through 2. Then we have these next 2 stitches where we're going to work front post double crochet around each of them. So yarn over, go around the front here of the post, and then yarn over and bring up a loop, yarn over and bring through 2, and yarn over and bring through 2, and then one more, yarn over, go around here in the front of the stitch, around the post and bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. So that is our repetition. So we'll continue from the beginning of the bracket again. We will make sure to skip the stitch behind this front post stitch and work a double crochet into the next one. And then we have these next 2 stitches where we'll work front post around each one of them. So yarn over and then go around the post and bring up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2, and then one more, yarn over, go under and up around the post, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. So we've worked 2 repetitions here. We're on the wrong side, so we can't really see. So I'm going to take a sneak peek here on the right side so that we can see what we're doing. So we're starting to create the texture, and it looks like this. So to continue, we'll just continue the same way, where you can see here now we're working double crochet on top of this raised stitch. And then the front post double crochet stitches around these 2. They are the 2 stitches here between the raised stitches. So just making sure you're working into the right stitches here and working a front post around the next one, and then a front post double crochet around the next one. So that's our repetition, and you'll just continue all the way here across, and I'll meet you again at the end of the row. So a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, then a double crochet into the top of the next stitch, and then we have the chain 2 here at the beginning of our previous row, where we will place our last double crochet stitch. So just go into the top of those chain stitches, bring up a loop, and then yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. So that finishes our row number 3. So let's now turn around to the right side again, and we can take a look what that looks like. So as you can see, we're starting to create the texture here, seen from the right side. And from here on, you are just going to repeat rows 2 and 3 over and over again until you reach the final measure. But keep working, and I'll meet you a little bit later on when we start seeing the texture develop. I've now completed a few more rows, and now you can really see the texture starting to take shape. So just continue working rows 2 and 3 until you get to the given measure in the pattern. So now I've just finished a right side row and I am at the measurement, I think, where it's time to stop. So bring in your tape measure and it's measuring 6 3/4. So that's when the pattern tells me it's time for us to work our last row. To work our last row, we are now here on the wrong side and we will start with a chain 1 and then we will work a single crochet in the same stitch as our chain 1. So that's right here. We'll just yarn over and bring up a loop, yarn over and go through both 2 loops. Then a single into also the next stitch. Then, as we now have too many stitches for the border, we are going to decrease our stitches down to the 16 single crochet stitches we want to end our last row with. So therefore, there is a bracket telling us a repetition with a decrease. So we'll work a single crochet decrease in the next 2 stitches. And that's done this way. We'll go into the next stitch and bring up a loop. Then we'll go into the next stitch and bring up another loop. And we have 3 loops here in our hook. We'll yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So now these 2 stitches are turned into 1. Next up in the pattern repetition there within the brackets is to work a single crochet in each of the next 2. So now we'll just work a single and a single. Then we'll repeat within the brackets again a second time, single crochet into the next one. We're picking up a loop and then also picking up in the next one, yarn over and go through all 3 loops, and then single crochet and single crochet in the next 2. So that was our second repetition. We'll do this a total of 4 times. So now pick up a loop in the next one, yarn over and go through all 3 loops, single and single, and then a last decrease repetition, pick up a loop in the next one, yarn over, go through all 3, and then single crochet in each of the next 2. And then we have 3 stitches here at the end of the row. We will work another decrease here in these next 2. And then we have this chain 2 at the beginning of our previous row where we will put our last single crochet stitch. So that ends our last row. We're now down to 16 stitches that we want. And now we will fasten off the yarn, but we will give ourselves a long tail so that we have enough to whip stitch together the last 2 sections. So cut the yarn and then pull out the tail. So I'm back on the right side again. I'm going to double check my measurements. This section should measure 7 inches. And have the same height as the previous section, and it does. It's supposed to be 5 inches in width, and that's also correct. So next up, we can whip stitch these 2 sections together.
All sections are finished, and coming up next, I'll show you how to connect the pieces. Our 5 sections are completed, each with unique textures, which I hope you'll love to use again and again in the future. Before we put a border around our piece, we need to join the different sections. Find your tapestry needle and I'll show you how that's done.
So now I'm here on the wrong side of work with my 2 last sections facing me here, and I've put the last strand from section 10 here on my tapestry needle, and I will now whip stitch these together just like we did on our previous block. So you'll just start up here
in the corner stitch and then work into the stitches here at the row ends. Just make sure to tighten things up and make sure these lay evenly next to each other as you just whip stitch them together like this, going through the loops of the stitches here in each end and going right across into the one right across. So this is how you continue all the way down here in the opening. And I'll meet you again when we're nearing the end of it. So I'm nearing the cable here now, connecting all the way down to the bottom of this gap. And then I'll just run through these last stitches here to make sure that we don't get any gaps at the bottom of these two sections. So with that, we have joined sections 9 and 10, and I'll just now cut the yarn and we'll move on to join the first two sections also to the cable. So I'm here now with my pieces on the wrong side facing me, and I will start by joining sections 6 and 7 to our cable section. And I will be whip stitching these together, and I'll be here on our cable piece. I'm going to leave these two loops here, and I'm going to be seaming into that third bar behind each stitch. So I'm starting here in the corner one, and then I'm going into the corner stitch here of this section here, just like that. Then I'll go into the next bar and then into the next stitch here. And just here it's easy, you're going to seam into each stitch, but over here you're going to seam into the row ends. So just make sure that everything is laying nice and even here next to each other, and just go right across to the edge stitch on the next section here. So just go here, and then I'll just go straight over and pull through. So keep working like this here in these back bars, and let's take a little peek here on the front. You can now see how that creates this nice ridge here on our right side. So continue like this all the way down so that both these two sections are joined to the cable, and I'll meet you there. I'm almost here now at the end and working into these last stitches here to connect my pieces. So making sure to also put a stitch here in the very corner of the pieces, and then I always go one more time through these last stitches to secure. So with that, our sections are connected. So now all the sections have been joined, and we can turn our piece back to the right side again and see how pretty everything looks here on the right side. So with that, we are ready to work our border. I'm going to switch my thing around like this. We want to start working the border up in the right corner here of our section number 9. And then we will be working single crochet, just like we did on our first block, in each of these 28 stitches here across section 9. Then we'll work single crochet in each of the next 15 here, making sure to place a last single crochet here in the corner stitch. Then we'll turn and work along the side, putting 22 stitches evenly here along the side of this section. 6 stitches here evenly across the cable section, and then single in each of these next 15 here on section 7, ending with a single crochet in the corner. Then you will work along this side, putting 28 stitches here evenly along the side of section 7, and then 15 stitches evenly here along the side of section 6, single crochet in the last stitch, and then turn and work along this side where you'll put a single crochet in each of these first 15 stitches, 6 stitches across the cable section, 22 stitches evenly along the side here of section 9, and then you'll come back here to the corner where you will join in the beginning single crochet stitch. Finish up round 2 of the border according to the pattern, just like we did with block 1. I'm bringing in my tape measure. The block is supposed to be 15 inches square, so it's 15 across this way and also 15 here. So we are good on the measurements, and leaving a bit of a tail here now, just cut the yarn and then bring the tail through the loop on your hook. With that, we have now finished our second block. With this second block, I hope you have learned some new textures or fallen back in love with old favorites. You should now be comfortable working clusters, linen, waffle, and Suzette textures, and also know how to make your stitches cross over each other to create a cable. I'm excited that we now have completed 2 beautiful blocks of our Irish Fields Gansey Crochet Afghan. As we progress through this Afghan, you will learn even more crochet textures, techniques, and combinations of stitches to create interesting fabrics and patterns. Not only will I do my very best to help you build your crochet skills, but at the end, you'll also have a warm and cozy Afghan for your home. I look forward to seeing you in the next video tutorial for the Irish Fields Gansey Crochet Afghan Club, where we will create 5 new textures for our third block: the honeycomb texture, star stitches, which are my most favorite of all, another unique cable-like stitch, the basket weave, and last but not least, the feather stitch. So many gorgeous stitches to look forward to. Until next time, happy crocheting!